to make some chicken zoodle soup. I know some of you have wondered what to do with your pressure cooker or how to use your pressure cooker. So today I have my Power Pressure Cooker XL. Some of you may have an Instapot and that's fine too, but what I am going to show you today is going to be made in the Instapot. On that note, I am going to have my wonderful assistant hold up the list of ingredients that you are going to need to make your chicken soup in the Instapot. First thing you need is about a half an onion diced. And again, for chicken soup, most of these things are approximate. It kind of goes by what your tastes are. If you like less onion or more onion, it's kind of the same with like all of these ingredients. So a half an onion diced. 1 bag of shredded carrots. I like to just do the easiest thing possible, and to have this ready to go is kind of convenient for us. So I use these. If you have carrots on hand, you can dice them up however you like to do it. By all means, do your own thing. 3 stalks of celery diced. I have some celery here. 1/8 cup of olive oil or butter. Now, most of the time I just kind of eyeball this as I put it into the pressure cooker. I just make sure I have like just enough to coat the bottom to saute the vegetables. I tried to do measurements for you guys so you would have an approximation. And again, this is like a 10-quart pressure cooker. You may have something that's smaller, so you'll probably have to adjust based on that. But for this recipe, I did 1/8 cup, which looks like this. It's pretty tiny. Then 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of herbes de Provence. This is kind of like my secret weapon, my secret ingredient that I put in my chicken soup, and I sprinkle this in the bottom right before I put in all the vegetables to saute. It has oregano, marjoram, thyme, rosemary, aniseed, and lavender. This gives it like a little special extra taste, and I just sprinkle some of this in the bottom. 1 tablespoon of poultry magic. Again, this is kind of like another secret component to my recipe. I use this on pretty much everything that I do with chicken. You can use it if you make grilled chicken or chicken with fettuccine alfredo. I use it in my soups. I use it on the chicken. It really brings out a good flavor, and it is gluten-free. It just has spices, salt, garlic, onion, and paprika. No MSG, no preservatives, and gluten-free. And we like that for all of our gluten-free friends. Salt and pepper, again, that's kind of to your taste. 8 cups of chicken bone broth. This is my favorite brand. Now you can make your own bone broth if you are a real achiever, but for this recipe, I'm going to use this. And what I'm going to do is save the bones from the chicken when I'm done. And maybe in our next episode of Quarantine Cuisine, we will make some homemade bone broth, also in the pressure cooker. This one, imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Is also gluten-free. It just has chicken stock, organic chicken flavor, and sea salt. So that's it. I really like this because it has a nice rich flavor. It has a nice golden color to it. So definitely it costs a little bit more than like your average stock or chicken. What am I trying to think of? Like chicken broth, I guess. Bone broth, you're gonna get a much richer, more vibrant flavor with this. I would highly recommend it, or make your own. The next thing, of course, you need is your chicken. Chicken. Can't make your chicken soup without your chicken.
No, unless you're vegan.
Unless you're vegan, then I guess it's not chicken zoodle soup, it's just zoodle soup with carrots and celery. This is a little bit bigger chicken than I normally buy. I normally try to go between 4 and 5 pounds. Of course, with the quarantine and the pandemic, there isn't a whole lot to choose from. So this is a 6-pound chicken, and I might just take a little bit of the extra and save it, not put it back into the chicken soup, make like chicken salad or whatever I want to, tacos or quesadillas. Chicken quesadillas sounds really good. Yeah, this is a 6-pounder. It's a little bit bigger than what I normally use. I like to put zoodles into my chicken soup. That way the whole recipe is gluten-free. Now you can choose to use noodles if you want to. My family really likes this. I really like it, and it's a really good substitute for not doing regular flour-based noodles. I think that's about everything that we're gonna use. This is gonna go in at the end, so I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator right now, and we are going to get started on the recipe. Okay, sound good? Yep. Oh, and you may be wondering why Abby is dressed as Rey from Star Wars. She was supposed to go to convention a couple weeks ago, and it got canceled. So this is a really awesome opportunity for her to wear her costume and have fun.
Cooking in costume.
Cooking in costume, because we're having fun. Now, before we get started, two of the most important things that we want to do is put our hair up, number one, because nobody wants hair in their food. That's gross. And we want to wash our hands, which we already did, and then put gloves on, because nobody wants germs in their food. So we are going to put gloves on. Put the gloves on. So, on that note, I'm going to put these in the fridge and we're going to get started. Okay. So the first thing that I normally do before I start throwing everything into the pressure cooker is to chop the vegetables, because once you get it going, everything goes pretty quickly. So I like to use this Vidalia Chop Wizard. It actually, I ordered it on Amazon, and I can share a link when I share the recipe, but it comes with two different size blades, thank you. Two different size blades for chopping. This is the larger one, and there's one that's even smaller. So, thank you, it's smaller. So I'm going to use this one for today with the onion and the celery, and you can kind of see how that works. I'm going to chop up the vegetables, and I'm going to give them to Abby to put them in here so she can dice them even smaller. So we'll kind of move this stuff over a little bit so you can see how this works. So in order for them to kind of sit where the blades are, you just have to chop it up into maybe 3 or 4 inch pieces with the celery. Then you just put it on top of the blades. And then you just press down the lid. You gotta, put some oomph into it there. Use all your strength. So if you can see, normally that's about how many pieces of celery I can get on there. Four tiny ones. Oh. Make sure the back doesn't come off. Okay. And this is all dishwasher safe. You can unassemble this, throw it in the dishwasher when you're done. All right, so to put it in the bowl, you just take the lid off, you pull this middle piece out. Sometimes it's a little bit tough at first. All right, that's okay, that's okay.
Do they like celery?
I don't think so. Oops. All right, so we're gonna throw that in the bottom of the bowl. We're gonna put this back in and do the onion next. And like I said, about a half an onion is what I normally use. And I just kind of take the onion and cut it into slices like this. And then put a slice on the grid. And then just dice it even finer.
Sorry, you're just using the force.
That's okay, use the force. We're done with that. Go ahead and put the bowl.
Try not to fling it out this time.
Yeah, sometimes it gets some suction on there, so it's a little hard to. It definitely makes very easy work out of dicing up the vegetables, especially onions, which to hand dice, you get watery eyes and it's not very pleasant. So this makes really quick work of it. My other go-to for onions is frozen onions that are already diced in the bag, but I didn't have those today, so we are using fresh.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately for Abby, we're using fresh, but that's okay. Fresh is good. All right, so the next thing that we are going to do is start up the pressure cooker. And when you first start it up, it's going to heat up, and then it will get hot enough to hear the olive oil in the bottom kind of start sizzling a little bit, and then put the vegetables in along with the herbs de Provence. For if you have a Power Pressure Cooker XL, what I like to do is put on, this is chicken and meat. And then this is the cook time selector. I do it for an hour because you have like a 5-pound chicken, so you want to make sure that it's cooked really well. You can see Once these start spinning around, that means it's starting to heat up. At this point, I'm going to put the olive oil in there. That's gonna have to be edited out. Okay, 1/8 of a cup of olive oil, and that's gonna go directly into the pressure cooker.
Not the vegetables.
Don't pour it in the vegetables. It goes, I guess that could work too. We are going to put it into the pressure cooker.
As soon as I did it, I knew it was wrong. I was like,
That's gonna start to heat up. Once I can see it start to heat up, I'm gonna dump the vegetables in there. Okay, so you can hear that the vegetables are sizzling. Sometimes if you're not quite sure, you can throw a couple pieces in there. Once it starts sizzling, throw the rest in there. I've got my herbes de Provence. I like to do closer to 1.5 tablespoons in there. And you can always put salt and pepper in there too. Abby, go ahead, you can put some salt and pepper in with the vegetables.
okay.
We're also gonna put the carrots in here, just the whole bag. We're gonna let this saute just for a couple minutes. So you see, maybe like the celery starting to soften and the carrots are starting to soften maybe just a little bit. You can also add some garlic in here. You can do about, this is a teaspoon of garlic. I'd say 1 to 2 teaspoons of garlic you could throw in there too. Again, if you don't like garlic, you don't have to put it in. It gives a really nice flavor to what you're cooking. We like garlic, so I put a couple teaspoons in there. Okay, normally while this is sauteing in there, what I do is I take the
Chicken.
Yes, thank you. I'm losing my words today. I take the chicken, kind of cut this open. I'm gonna cut this open. I'm gonna keep it towards the top, but you're gonna have some juices come out.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Juices, you might have packs of the innards in there, so you want to always check inside your chicken. This does have like the neck and stuff in a bag. You definitely don't want to throw that into your pot for the soup, but I would say keep it if you're going to make bone broth later, because you can throw stuff that's in this bag in with the bones and it'll really help to make a pretty hearty bone broth. That's pretty much it. Just check over the chicken. Like I said, make sure that there's nothing in it that you're going to regret throwing in your soup, because that would be a good thing. So our vegetables have been sauteing. I'm going to take the chicken and I am going to just set it right on top of all the vegetables. So here we go. Chicken's in the pot. I'm going to throw this out and I'm going to have Abby do the rest of the seasonings because now I have chicken on my hands. To do the poultry magic, a tablespoon of poultry magic.
Just right in the pot.
Put it on top of the chicken.
Okay, sprinkle it.
Yep, just sprinkle it right on top of the chicken. Now they do sell the poultry magic in smaller containers. I mean, stuff that's like about this size. Obviously we use it a lot, so I got a really big container of it. Like I said, it's really good stuff, very multi-purpose. You can use it for so many different dishes. I just love it. Abby's got the seasonings on top. And the next thing that we are going to do then is to pour in the bone broth. Now it calls for 8 cups of chicken bone broth. I don't measure it out because each one of these are 4 servings or 4 cups. So we have 8 cups here. Now I'm going to have her dump it like around the chicken so we don't take the seasonings off. I'm gonna bring this a little closer to show you. This is what it all looks like in the pot. She's got the seasoning on top of the chicken and she's dumping the bone broth in just around the chicken. It's already looking really good. Now, depending how much broth you want, you can also add a couple cups of water. You can add more broth, it's up to you. I normally just do a little bit of water in there. And then you are going to add parsley. Do about 1 tablespoon of parsley. We'll see how that goes. And then do maybe like a half of that on top of the chicken. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, then you're gonna take a little more salt and pepper and put that on top of the chicken. Looks good. All right. So now we have everything that we need in the pot. So I'm gonna show you how to put the lid on it, and you can see right now it's still warming up. The pressure, there's no pressure yet until you put the lid on. And then once it's ready to go, you'll see that the 1 hour timer start. Okay, so in order to get this going and cooking, we're gonna put the lid on. So you set it down and you rotate it until it's locked. If it's not locked, it'll just be able to come up like that. So make sure it's just seated really well. Turn it, and like I said, it will be locked. Now, there is a little vent on the back. If you can see, there is a vent setting and there is a blocked vent. You want it to the blocked vent because you want the pressure to build up. So make sure that lines up with the white arrow. Now again, if you don't have a Power Pressure Cooker XL, yours might be a little bit different. For this pressure cooker, this is what you want. So line those two up, and then the pressure is going to start building up. We can see it's still heating up, it's still building up pressure. Our lines are still spinning around in front, but in just a couple minutes, you're going to see the timer's going to start, and then about an hour later, it will be done. When this is all cooked, then I will come back and you will see what the chicken looks like and what the soup looks like in 1 hour. So see you then. And we're back. So it has been an hour, actually a little bit over an hour, because I set it for an additional 15 minutes just to make sure, since it was a bigger chicken, that it was totally done. So now that the timer has gone off, I am going to, and it's been sitting here for a little bit, so I am going to vent it. So Abby, if you can look at the top here, this is the vent at the top. It is blocked, but I am going to vent it, and there's not too much steam left in there, too much pressure. So we're gonna wait until that is totally done. Normally when it's like just done, it'll really be coming out. You can hear the pressure pushing the steam out. So I let it sit for a little bit so there isn't as much. But as soon as the steam stops, then we'll know that it's safe to take the lid off. So I'm gonna wait a minute or two, and then we'll come back and see how our soup looks. So we're back. The steam's done venting, so that means that it is safe to open. Now I will say as well, while there's still pressure in here, this lid will not move at all. Even if you try to take it off, it has an automatic locking mechanism on it. So you can't, unless there's something defective, but as long as your machine is working okay, it will not come off as if there's pressure in there. So don't be worried about that. Once the pressure is out and it is properly vented, then the lid will unlock. So then you take it off. Okay, and as you can see, it's cooked up really nicely. The bone broth is like a golden color, and the chicken has cooked up nicely as well. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, you have to take the chicken out and let it cool off. I normally use these two handy dandy utensils here and just try to lift it out very carefully, because the chicken is going to be it's just going to be like falling apart. So you're going to have to try to lift it out very, very carefully, I should say. So I normally try to just go under it a little bit. Put this on the other side. Now again, this is like a bigger chicken, and I'm hoping it doesn't like bust, but I may have to kind of break it in half to get it out of here. So I'll just take it out a little bit at a time. Put it in here to cool. I normally let it cool for maybe 30 minutes. If you're real adventurous, you can cut it while it's hot, but it's really difficult to cut when it's just come out of the pressure cooker like this. So I try to get everything out that I can and just look and make sure that there's no bones, or like this little piece here. You're gonna get pieces that fall off. I mean, I guess you could even cook your chicken in a bag and then just lift it out. I normally don't. I've never had any problems. Again, if you just want it to be pretty easy, you could put it in a cooking bag, like something that's like a netted bag. What we're gonna do while we're waiting for the chicken to cool off, I've already taken the zoodles, and I like to get Giant Eagles zoodles. This is the larger box, 24 ounces. They also sell them in 12-ounce boxes. If you only want, half the size, you can get the smaller ones. This is normally a good size for this recipe, so I get the 24-ounce Giant Eagle. It's in the produce section, like over where they have the lettuce and all that stuff. What I did already, just to save time, I already drained these because they'll be very, very damp when you open them up. So I just like to drain all the moisture off of them first, then put them in here. Since they're pretty fine, you can throw them into the hot broth and they will cook while this is cooling off. I'm just going to take these out of here. Throw them in the pot. Like I said, you don't have to start anything back up. The heat of the broth, since it's so hot, they will cook in here. Mix them up. If you like noodles in your soup, a couple of ones that we have done before, these are probably our family favorite. These are Reams. It's a pack I already used, so that's why it's empty. These are in the frozen food section. I've gotten them at Giant Eagle or Bueller's. This is a 24-ounce size. They do come in a smaller size. Since they're frozen, you do have to boil them for probably about 25 minutes, I think. But these are probably the closest to like homemade and authentic that I've had, and they're really, really good. Again, these are Reams, and you can find them in the frozen food section, where they have frozen bread and rolls and stuff like that. Mrs. Miller's old-fashioned medium egg noodles. Egg noodles are always good in there. I'm sure your family probably has their favorite noodles, so you can use whatever you want, but these are a couple of our favorites. I try to just make it plain and then make the noodles separate for my family. They can just add the noodles as they want. We're gonna let this sit, like I said, for about 30 minutes. Let the noodles cook, let the chicken cool, and we will be back. Okay, welcome back. We are going to finish up the soup right now. It's cooled. Abby and I took the stuff that was bones, bristle, fat and stuff, and we put it in this bowl. Then we cut up the good stuff, put it in this bowl. This is going to go in here. If you notice, it's still on. It's warm. This is actually pretty hot when it comes out of here. We're gonna take this, the cut up chicken, and we're just gonna dump it in there, stir it around. So at this point, this made a lot of chicken, and I even held some out, like I said, for chicken salad or quesadillas or whatever. There's quite a bit of chicken in here. At this point, you can kind of taste test it and see what you think. I'm going to let Abby try a little bit, then you tell me if it needs more salt or how you think it came out. It's good. Does it need more salt? You don't think so? Okay, so at this point, like I said, you can add in more salt. I like this Hawaiian sea salt. It's red salt. This adds some really good flavor. You could always even add in some more poultry magic if you want to. That's pretty much the end of the recipe there. You can take it, you can put it in containers, your family can eat it, you can can it. I'm going to put this into some mason jars here. That's about it. So if you have any questions, you can let me know, but that's pretty much the whole recipe right there. This is just a really good time of year, especially with the coronavirus and everything going around. There's just so many health properties to this food, to this soup, and it's just really good if you're not feeling good, if you think you have the flu, especially with the chicken being boiled right in the pot with the broth. Just so many great properties there for your health and well-being. If you get a chance, thumbs up from Abby, please.
You get so caught up in restoring the galaxy.
Make the chicken soup and let me know how you like it. So thank you for joining.